In this video, I'm going to show you how to configure the SmartTOP module. Let's go. What's up everyone, I'm Steve and you're watching F33. Now if you like this video, give a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss when a new video drops. Now in my previous video I showed you how to install the SmartTOP module and I also gave my review. And as I mentioned in that video, this is one of my favorite upgrades and I can't imagine ever going back. Now in this video, however, I thought I would go over some of the config options so you know what's possible, how to configure it, as well as a couple hidden features. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I have a promo code that's going to save you some money when you purchase the SmartTOP module, so make sure you stick around to the end. Now before I show you how to configure the SmartTOP, I thought I would go over some of the different options available. MODS4CARS makes the SmartTOP modules for many different makes and models, and while a lot of the options are the same, the ones that I'll be going over are specific to the BMW F33 and F83 models. And to make sure that it is easy for you to scan through the video and find the options that you're looking for, I have added chapters down below for each one of the options. All right, so now that we have gotten all that out of the way, why don't we get into it? Now the first option is the module mode. You've got your basic on and off, and on is selected by default, but you also have two other options. Now extended mode is what I have mine set to and allows you to lock the car with either the remote or comfort access and not interrupt the top if it's opening or closing. Now in this mode, you can only lock or unlock the car once while it's doing its thing. Any other button presses will stop the top. Now I like this mode because it lets me lock the car as the top's closing, as I said, but it also lets me stop it quickly if I need to by pressing either of the buttons again. Now expert mode is basically the same thing as extended, except that it allows you to lock or unlock the car repeatedly while the top is opening or closing. Now if you need to, you can stop the top in either one of these modes by pressing unlock if the car is unlocked or locked if the car is locked. Basically just press one of the lock buttons twice and it'll stop the top. Now option 2 is around one touch. You've got 3 modes for this one: off, on, and valet. Now valet is pretty cool as it disables the top completely so you don't end up with some sort of Ferris Bueller situation in the parking garage. Now if you have it on, there are a few different ways the switch can work. You can hold the convertible top switch and the top will operate in manual mode. This is just in case you want to relive the old days before SmartTOP. Now tapping the convertible switch down or up once will operate the top automatically, just as you would expect. Tapping the convertible switch twice, however, will operate the top automatically and put the windows in the opposite position that they would normally go in. So let's say you tap it twice to open the top. It will open the top and put the windows up afterwards. This is really cool because sometimes you want the top down, but your passengers might want the windows up because they're weird and think it's too windy. Another cool feature with this option is that it adds comfort close to the windows. So if the top is already closed, you can tap the switch to close the top again and it will just close the windows for you. Now option 3 is around inverting the convertible top switch. I don't use this option, but I've read in the forums that some people think that the switch is actually backwards and should work in the opposite way. If you're one of these people, this is the option for you. Now option 4 is all about speed. How fast do you want to go while operating the top? There are 5 settings for this one: 0, 6 miles an hour, 12 miles an hour, which is the factory setting, 19 miles an hour, and 25 miles an hour. Now, this really centers around how comfortable you are while driving and operating the top. I set mine to 19 miles an hour, but I've also tested it at 25 and it worked perfectly fine. Now, something to watch out for is that this setting is for when you can trigger the top to operate. Once triggered, the top will not stop if you go over the program speed. So be sure keep the speed low while operating the top and really try to stay on smooth roads if you are doing it while driving. All right, now option 5 allows you to customize how the remote operation works. You've got 4 basic settings to choose from. You've got off, hold, tap, or both. Now, like all of these options, it really comes down to personal preference. I mean, do you want to hold the unlock button for 4 seconds, or would you rather just tap it 3 times? If you're like me and can't decide, both is the option for you. Now, a cool feature with this option that I wanted to mention is that you can trigger the windows to end up in the opposite position if you want. So for instance, let's say that you want to put the top down but the windows up. You can do this by tapping the unlock button additional times, so 4 times instead of 3. Now, option 6 allows you to customize how to open the windows remotely. This is very similar to option 5, and it's got the options of off, hold, tap, or both. You can either hold the lock or unlock buttons for 2 seconds, or you can just tap them twice. Now, if you want to be able to make your choice on the fly, choose both, and you have that option at your disposal. Now, if you've got comfort access, option 7 is for you, as it allows you to operate the top via the door handle. Now, the settings for this option are off, close only, and both open and close. Now, I chose close only as I don't really see myself opening the top of the door handle, but if you want to be able to do that, this is the option for you. Now, the taps to operate the top via comfort access are exactly the same as the remote operation with the key fob, which I think is awesome because I love when things are consistent. It totally makes it easy to remember how many times to click something. So if you want to operate the top via comfort access, just tap the unlock or lock sensor 3 times to operate it, or 4 times if you want the windows to end up in the opposite position. Now, to use this feature, make sure that you hear the locks engage each time that you touch the sensor. Otherwise, if you tap it too quickly, it may not register your touch input correctly and not operate the top the way you're intending to. Now, option 8 allows you to choose the default position that the windows are in when the top is down. The settings available are none, front, and all. None is basically default and rolls the windows down when the top goes down. Front raises the front windows when the top goes down, and all puts all of them up. Now, I chose none, which is the default setting for mine, as I like the windows down when the top goes down, but it's really personal preference. So if you want to change it, this one's the one for you. Now, from the factory, the large all windows button in the driver's door is only one touch if you want to put the windows down. If you want to put all the windows up, you have to hold it. Option 9 aims to fix that button. This option has 3 settings: off, on, and no ignition. Now, off and on are pretty self-explanatory, but I thought I would explain the no ignition setting. This setting allows you to close all the windows even if the ignition is off and the door is open. This is really useful if you forgot to roll the windows up and you've already turned off the car. Now, the fastest way to configure the SmartTOP module is with your computer. This is also how you're going to update the firmware as needed. Now, the first step is to download the Connect software, which I have linked down below. It's just an executable, which is cool because there's nothing to install. Go ahead and use the provided USB cable to connect the SmartTOP module to your computer. You'll get a little green LED to indicate that it's connected, and then launch the software. Now, this first tab is going to show your connection status, and the second tab is where we are going to make sure that our firmware is up to date. Go ahead and click the Check Updates button to install any firmware updates that you might have. Mine's up to date, so we're going to go to the Settings tab. Now, the Settings tab is where you're going to make all your changes. Now, there's a really cool button down at the bottom called the Settings Matrix, and this really allows you to check what the options are in case you forgot what any of them might be. Now, to make your selections, just click on the settings for each option that you'd like to change, and once you're happy with the settings that you've chosen, click Write to Module up at the top. Now that you've got all of your options configured, go ahead, close the software, and then disconnect the module and install it into your car. It's really that simple. Now, you can also configure the SmartTOP module from inside your car. Now, this is perfect for testing out different options without constantly plugging it into your computer. Now, to activate the programming mode, turn on the car, but don't start it. Then hold the lock button until the blinkers light up on the dash. Now you can navigate through the options using the convertible top switch. Tapping it down goes down and up goes up. Now to change in setting of an option, you can use the convertible top switch again, but this time you're going to hold it for a second before letting go. Once you've got everything set the way you want it, just tap the door lock switch again. Something to note is that the programming mode will also exit automatically after a minute of inactivity. Now there's a couple hidden features that I wanted to show you. The first one is how to turn the entire system off or on very quickly without going into any settings or anything like that. So let's say that you're letting someone else drive your car, or you're bringing it into the dealership and you want to turn the entire system off so that there's no accidents where somebody accidentally activates the roof or something like that. You can easily disable all the custom features and return it back to stock by turning on the ignition and holding the door lock switch for 10 seconds. You'll see the left arrow blink once and the right arrow will not blink at all, indicating that the system is off. Reactivating is just as easy. Just turn on the ignition and hold the door lock switch for 10 seconds again, and bam, all your custom settings are back. The left arrow will blink once, and the right arrow will blink either 1, 2, or 3 times based on the setting you originally configured. Alright, so the next feature is valet mode. Let's say you need to valet the car, but you don't want that Ferris Bueller scenario. With the top closed, turn the ignition on, and tap the top close quickly 10 times. You'll see the left arrow blink twice and the right arrow will blink twice. The top is now in valet mode, which means that the convertible top switch is completely disabled. And if anyone tries to activate the top while it's in valet mode, you'll get a message up on the screen saying opening and closing the top is temporarily not possible. Now to reactivate the top, just do the same thing over again. Turn the car on and tap the close button 10 times. This time the left arrow will blink twice and the right arrow will blink once.
Now, as you saw, configuring the SmartTOP module is really easy to do and only takes a couple minutes. It's really cool that they give you so many configuration options to really make it exactly how you want it. Now, I did want to offer a word of caution if you operate the top while driving, and this really goes for any speed. Make sure that you don't accelerate too aggressively or go over large bumps, as doing this can really damage the top. And I wanted to give a huge shout out to MODS4CARS for creating such an amazing mod. And I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that they have modules available for tons of makes and models. So if you have a convertible, even if it's not an F33, visit their site and see if they have one for your ride. Now, as always, I have put links in the description to where you can find the SmartTOP module for your ride. And for sticking around to the end of the video, use promo code F33 to save 5% on your order. Now, if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that like button, smash it if that's what you're into, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you on the next one. God bless.